Well, here we go again. There is a bill in Congress wanting to force all employers in the United States to use a program called E-Verify. Now, presently, about 4% of the employers in the United States are using it, most of them because they're being forced by law. The federal government passed a mandate, whether they passed it or simply declared it, that all people doing business, getting federal contracts, must use E-Verify for all their employers. But now they want to go from 4% to 100%. So let's talk about this, because this is a critical issue. What this really is whether we have a national ID or not. Now, for 230 years, the Americans have said, no national ID. You're not going to give us papers that we have to carry all the time to prove we belong in the United States of America. This is the land of the free. So that's the stance that we have taken. And yet there are people who are relentless. They want us to have a national ID card. The question is, what's the motive? Why do we keep fighting this thing? I'm talking about back in Reagan's day, they brought it up. I remember an editorial by Marvin Stone, who was the editor at the time of U.S. News and World Report, and he was pushing a national ID. So what's the idea behind it? Why did they think we need it? Now, at first, they used terrorism as their excuse. Some of that argument has sort of died down a little bit. Now then, they're using illegal immigrants because illegals are coming in here and taking our jobs. I mean, the illegal immigrants are here, so registering them for a job isn't going to make them any more or less dangerous. Some people think it would make them less dangerous because once they become a productive member of society, then they would be okay. But we all instinctively are against illegal immigration. We think if they come to the United States of America, they should come here legally. Yet at the same time, are we killing a fly with a 12-gauge shotgun? That's the next thing. Are we going to do more damage with the cure than the disease is causing us? So I want us to all really think today, because this law has been introduced to Congress. It is in circulation right now. There is opposition to it, thankfully. But I want you and me to talk about this seriously. Why should we either require it, or why should we throw it out the back door forever? Now, if you throw it out the back door forever, there are certain people that are going to bring it back. And why are they so impassioned about you having to have a national ID card? They want you to have one. They want me to have one. They want every person to have one. Why? If we can answer the question why, we may answer the question as to whether we want one or not, whether it is a good idea or not. So I do want to hear your feedback today. We're going to be talking about this and other subjects. If you'd like to be on the air with us, the number to call is 877-END time. Real quick, I want to make sure all of you know that I will be in Michigan on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will be in Taylor, Michigan on Friday evening at 7 p.m. I will be in Monroe, Michigan on Saturday evening at 6 p.m. and also 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. I will then be in Clinton, Michigan at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday morning as well. So if you want all the details about this, you may go to www.endtime.com and just click on the conferences link. It'll give you the times, the exact addresses, everything you need to know. Anyway, we'll be at Michigan, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you up there. So do we national ID or do we not national ID? Now, frankly, most of the nations of the world have a national ID card. About 100 of the nations out of 192, the national ID is mandatory. Others, it is somewhat voluntary, but you have to have it once you reach certain age limits. Most of them force you to have it to hold a job. Okay, so what's the real issue here? Is this even worth fighting for? Or maybe it's really worth fighting for. Why have our forefathers fought so vociferously for the last 230 years to say no? And why did it horrify us so much when the stormtroopers of Adolf Hitler would stop people on the streets and say, "Papers, please"? Now, we know what they were looking for. They were looking for anybody that was not of the pure Aryan race so that they could wipe them off the face of the earth. So this was a form of control in order to get your legal document justifying you to be there in the nation. You had to answer questions. You had to fill out forms. You had to your right to be there was granted by the government. So here in the United States of America, as Americans, we've always believed if I'm a U.S. citizen, I am here in the United States of America, and nobody has a right to stop me and demand ID papers. They can't do it. Now, that's the way we have lived for the last 230 years, and it's a wonderful way to live. We are free from unreasonable searches and seizures. We have a right to remain silent. If we choose to remain silent, we do not have to say anything. And just because we don't say anything does not mean we're guilty of anything. We can just choose to not answer questions. We do not have to submit to searches unless there is a warrant that is obtained from a judge after showing just cause why that warrant should be obtained. So we got many, many wonderful liberties here. But there are people who hate those liberties. They don't believe in those liberties because it stands between them and controlling you. They are control freaks. They believe the government needs to manage everyone, that the government is smarter than you. Of course, they're usually a part of the government, and so they think they're smarter than you. They think there is this ruling elite that needs to have access to your life. And so they have implemented everything they can. They take advantage of all the new technologies coming up. They now have passed a law that your cell phone, even if it's turned off, must be traceable. Now they say that's because if you make a 911 call and then the connection is lost, they still need to be able to find your location. And that sounds like a pretty good, legitimate thing. But now then, it's even trackable if you purposely turn the thing off. If you don't want to be tracked, you still can't keep from it. And there's all kinds of technologies that are contributing to this ever more present Big Brother society. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go ahead and start taking some phone calls here. Now, here's the question. Which would be better? Illegal immigrants working in the U.S. or the government having the power to permit you to work or to deny you that permission? So if you have to make a choice between forcing illegal immigrants to prove their status to be here and to hold jobs, and a lot of people really would like to see that happen because they feel like that illegal immigrants are taking jobs that they have no right to take. They're taking America's jobs. They're here without permission. They did not go through the channels. So if you think that that should be, and that's so important that you're willing for the government to have the right to tell you you cannot work, are you willing to trade off freedom from government supervision in order to try to solve this illegal immigrant problem? That's the question we're considering today. And we're going to go to the phones. Let's go right now, right here in Texas. John is calling. Hello, John.
Hello?
You're on the air, John.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to call in and talk about the question you had.
What do you think?
I think that I'd rather keep it the way it is, and I'd rather, risk having some illegal immigrants working, which, the worst part of that is they're not contributing to the tax base, but I'd much rather have that than have a mandate that says we all have to have this card to have a job. Because I think it's just...
Now, John, if they're working a job, don't their employers withhold taxes from them?
not if they're illegal. I wouldn't think, you know.
Well, I happen to know some illegals that are holding jobs right now, and they're paying taxes.
Well, that's good. And, you know, like I said, I'd much rather see that happening than for them to just use that as an excuse to further regulate our lives.
Now, obviously, if they don't have a Social Security number and they're being paid under the table in cash, then they're not paying taxes, of course. But if many illegals have gone out and purchased counterfeit Social Security cards and counterfeit driver's licenses, and they've purchased them. I was told that you can, for $500, get those two documents, and therefore you can work and so on and so forth. So that's one thing that's happening. The other thing, of course, are those people who are here and they are working for cash only, or however they manage to do that. But anyway, okay, well, that's your opinion, John. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, the big thing we have to ask is, are we willing to trade freedom for control? You cannot have total control over a populace unless you're free. I'm looking at an article here in front of me, came out September the 29th. Alabama joins national ID card effort. The new driver's license is supposed to comply with federal requirements for more secure identification. It's called STAR ID, short for Secure, Trusted, and Reliable. It will look like a regular driver's license with a gold star in the upper left corner. So if you don't have one of these, you're not trusted anymore, right? So what's innocent until proven guilty mean? I mean, I thought we trusted everybody, right? If you're an American, you're a trusted person. We trust you until you're proven guilty. You are considered innocent. It is a cherished right in this country to be considered innocent until proven guilty. You know, it's a bad feeling when people don't trust you. And I know a lot of people don't trust anybody, but anyway. So we're dealing with some very fundamental attitudes that will make our country what we want it to be, or will take away the cherished freedoms we've known till now.